BF Day proudly presents Mr. M's Math Class.
Hello and welcome to episode 13 of Mr. M's Math Class. Thank you for joining me today. I wanted to start off by saying thanks for all of the teacher appreciation messages that I have received and I'm going to receive this week. They're really appreciated. I wanted to give a special shout out to all of the teachers at BF Day and then especially to Mr. Algar and Ms. Noring. You guys are amazing to work with, and so thank you so much for being such great teachers. And then everybody else, also all the teachers out there in the world, thank you so much for all your work. I also wanted to say that I recorded a special Seattle Public Schools math video that's going to be broadcast tomorrow. I'll send details out as to exactly when, but it'll be on their YouTube page and it'll also be on TV, so that's pretty exciting. Our agenda for today, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some pictures of you looking at episode 12 and also some funny pictures of me, so I combine them together into one section, so that'll be combined. Two, we have our new estimation 180 question by Lucille. This is her second one, and we are running low on new estimations. So if you have some estimations, please send them in with a question and the answer. Three, I'm going to tell you the answer to the quarantine challenge question number 5, and then I will announce the winners for that. 4, I'm going to share some observations from the math exploration. And there was a very clear question that you guys needed some support with, so I'm going to go over that today in the video. 5, I'm going to introduce the new math exploration, which will revolve around volume, and so we'll look at some volume. And 6, I'm going to introduce a new coloring sheet and then give you the new quarantine challenge question number 6. And then I'll have a goodbye message and give you the answer to the estimation 180 question. So here are pictures of you looking at the episode 12 and funny pictures of me. Again, thank you for sending those photos in, not just of yourself, but also of me. I only got 3 from you guys, so make sure to send more pictures of yourself doing some of the math. Next up, we have our estimation 180 question by Lucille, and her question is, how many colored pencils are in this container? All right, thanks again, Lucia, for that question. Next up, we're going to talk about the quarantine challenge question number 5 answer. And so the answer for the usual suspects is as follows. So we can only have one true statement. So let's try each statement in order. So if Alan's statement is true, then so is Charlie's. If Bill's statement is true, then so is Charlie's. If Charlie's statement is true, then so is Don's. So none of these 3 can be telling the truth by himself, as the question requires. So Don must be telling the truth, and therefore Charlie did the robbery. And there was a lot of you who got that right, and so all the winners are down here. So nice job, all of you. Woo! Awesome. So next up, I am going to talk a little bit about some of the observations that I noticed from math exploration number 12. All right, so in looking at your work, I got the most questions for a particular page in the worksheet. And so I'm going to go over that right now so that you can see it. So I'm going to share my screen here. And this was the worksheet called Area and Perimeter Formulas. And it was question 2. And again, I got a lot of questions. So if you struggle with this question, it's okay. A lot of people struggle with it. So the question says, Terry was finding the area and perimeter of a rectangle. She spilled ketchup on her work, and 2 times something plus 2 times 99 equals something. 100 times something minus 1 times 37 equals something. So you might be thinking, that's really confusing. It says use the information in the picture above to draw Terry's rectangle and label its dimensions. So here I drew a rectangle to begin with. And I know that 2 times something plus 2 times 99, that has to be perimeter. So one of the sides has to be 99. So I'm going to put that there. That's 99. And I don't know what the other number is. And then this second equation says 100 times something minus 1 times 37 equals something. So that must be area. Now, I know that 100 minus 1, and I can see that 100 minus 1 would be 99. So that's one of the sides. And so the other side must be 37. And so the dimensions of the rectangle are 99 and 37. So I think what a lot of people were confused about were write the numbers, they got covered with ketchup on Terry's work. Also circle a word that shows whether each equation involves finding the area or the perimeter of the rectangle. So this would be 2 times 37 plus 2 times 99. So that's 99 plus 99 plus 37 plus 37. And that would be the perimeter. And so 99 plus 99 plus 37 plus 37 is, just do some mental math here, is 272. And it doesn't give us any units, and so it's 272 units. And it's not squared because it's not the area. So the next one is 100 times something minus 1 times 37. So instead of doing 99 times 37, which you totally can do, and that would work, an easier strategy would be to do 100 times 37, since that's just one more group of 37 over 99. So if I do 100 times 37 minus 1 times 37, that allows me to do the answer a lot easier. So that would be 3,700 minus 37. So instead of having to do the 99 times 37 and going through that whole process, it makes it a little bit easier where I do 3,700 minus 37, and that gives me 3,663 units squared. And I had to extend this a little bit because it's units squared. So that's the answer to that question. And again, it's a little tricky, but it's just a strategy on how to find 99 because it's really close to 100. So that was really it in terms of that question and that worksheet. So overall, everybody really understood area and perimeter, which is fantastic. Nice job on that.
All right, so in connection to our last lesson, which was thinking about area and perimeter, we're going to think about volume. And so area and perimeter is for two-dimensional objects, and volume is for three-dimensional objects. And we're going to look at something called a rectangular prism and find the volume of that. So because it's a 3D object, we're talking about 3 dimensions. And so talking about the length and the width, which is very similar to what you saw with area. So for volume, its area, which is the length, times the width. And that is also called the base. So if I have here a rectangular prism, I have here my length and width, and this is a 3 by 4. So the base of this rectangular prism would be 3 by 4. Now, because this shape isn't just length and width, I'm also talking about height. I also have to multiply the height. In this case, the height you can see here is 3, 1, 2, 3. And so I multiply that by 3. So we're going to pretend that each one of these is an inch. So 3 inches by 4 inches by 3 inches. So I do 3 times 4, which is 12, 12 times 3, which is 36. Now, because I'm talking about 3 dimensions, length, width, and height, the answer has to be inches cubed, or to the 3rd power, because there's 3 dimensions. Now, the base can change here if I change the orientation. So let's say I made the rectangular prism like this, and this is the new base. If this is the base length and width, this would be 3 times 3, and then the height would be 4. Now, in multiplication, we know that no matter what order we multiply these, the answer will remain the same. So the answer again is 36 inches cubed. But I can change the base of the rectangular prism in that way. So I'm going to draw some now to make these a little bit more maybe complicated. So let's say I had a rectangular prism that looked like this. And Miss Pierce, here my drawing skills here. So let's say this is a 10-inch, so that the width is 10 inch, the length is 20 inches, and the height is 5 inches. So here the base would be 10 times 10 times 20, times the height. So I have 10 times 20, and then the height is 5. So I multiply that by 5. So 10 times 20 is 200, times 5 would be 1,000 inches. And again, it has to be cubed, right? Lastly, let's say I had another one, but this is going to be a trickier question here. So let's say I had this. Rectangular prism looks like this. I have 2 inches here, 4 inches here. Now, I'm not going to tell you the height, but I am going to tell you that the volume of this whole thing is 48 inches cubed. How might you figure out what the height is of this rectangular prism if you know that I do 2 times 4 times something equals 48? So I'm going to write that down. That's our base. Times something equals 48 inches cubed. So I'm going to let you think about that for a second. I'm going to actually pause here and let you think. So you might have thought 2 times 8 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Times something is 48 inches cubed. So 8 times what is 48? I'm sure some of you thought 48 divided by 8. That could also work. And 8 times 6 is 48. So the height has to be 6 inches. I know my drawing doesn't really fit. Doesn't seem like that's actually 6 inches tall, but that's what that would be. So that's our lesson on volume today. There are going to be a lot of questions that are very similar to these in your worksheets. There are only 4 this time, and that'll be due on Thursday by the end of the day.
Okay, so next up, I'm going to talk about the coloring sheet and the new quarantine challenge question. So for coloring sheet, I'm going to share here. I'm going to let you see that. So here is the Frog Mario, which the theme here is Mario. So this is a Frog Mario coloring sheet. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is the challenge question. So the quarantine challenge question for this week is called Matchstick Match. And the question says, imagine a square matchstick house set in a square matchstick yard as in the diagram below. Your job is to place 10 matchsticks in the yard so that the yard is divided into 5 pieces of the same size and shape. And so you can only put 5 lines that are the same length as this matchstick, and so that you have 5 pieces that are the same area. So same size and shape. So good luck with that. That it will be due on May 12th, which is next Tuesday at noon. All right. All right, thank you so much for joining me in episode 13 of Mr. M's math class. Before I go, I wanted to say that we do need some more estimations. I believe I only have like 3 or 4 left. So please make sure to send those in. Make sure that the question is on there and the answer as well. Also, make sure to check out my episode of Mr. M's Math Class for Seattle Public Schools. This is for the larger 4th and 5th graders in all of Seattle. That is content that we've already covered, so you should know the content already. But if you want to check it out, you can. It'll be on YouTube, and I'll send details about what channels it'll be on tomorrow. And so thank you so much for joining me, and here is the answer to Lucille's estimation question.